everybody. Welcome to ZKTeco West Africa webinar series. I hope we are all well and we're keeping safe. Today's webinar session is very special because we have a very special speaker. Getting Mr. Hendrik, was a big one. I just want to talk about him a little bit. Mr. Hendrik Kombrick is the managing director of ZKTeco South Africa. Talking about ZKTeco in Africa, whatever you know about ZKTeco in Africa today is because of the sacrifice of Mr. Hendrik. I met him about 10 years ago in 9 years ago in South Africa when I visited, and I know how hard it was back then in Abispor, when you were still in that small office that I came to visit you.
That's good.
Yeah, so looking back and how far ZK has come, I personally want to appreciate your effort and sacrifice. So around Nigeria now, you see ZKTeco products all around. It's because of your effort and sacrifice. Thank you so much, Mr. Hendrik. Today, Mr. Hendrik will be talking to us. As a matter of fact, not just talking to us, he's going to do a live demonstration of the ZKTeco Prophase X, the TD version. The TD version is the upgraded version of Prophase X. Mr. Hendrik will show us how to use it end to end, the hardware part of it. He's going to demonstrate the facial recognition with the mask. It would also take us through the software part, how it all works. We hope that we can achieve this in the next 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And after his demonstration, we'll take questions. About this product or any other question you have about ZKTeco generally. Thank you so much, Mr. Hendrik. You can take it from here, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that kind introduction. Yes, it was a few years of building the business and the brand, obviously in Africa and Southern Africa as well, and up there by you guys. Obviously very proud to be part of this team as well, with you guys coming on board and also helping out in the different regions as well. So let's cut to the chase. Like you said, I'm going to do a demonstration for you guys on the ProCapture X TD. The TD is for thermal detection. I'm just going to quickly share my camera here with you guys so you can see. So I'm just going to move the camera back for a while so you can see that is plus minus how the device looks like. It's the normal Prophase X. As I'm looking at it, you guys can see the normal function as well, picking up my face. But we've added the thermal detection module here at the top, which is obviously now with the COVID situation that we have, everybody's asking for thermal detection. So we can actually do that as well now. Like I said, the normal function of this device is facial recognition. But what we've also done is we have also added the palm recognition to the device as well. As you guys can see, it is changing to blue, the block, if it is recognizing a palm. And then if I put my face, you can see the block turns white. So it can actually do both recognitions at the same time. Specifically also with the mask detection that we have, obviously the palm recognition, depending on how the people wear their masks, it makes a very big difference on how many points we can actually read on the face. So the palm is actually, we are one of very small part of biometric companies that has got this multi-biometric reading on the device itself. So it is a very big advantage for us to have that. So again, just the normal is the face, and then obviously the palm recognition. Now with the palm recognition, we are using a 3-in-1 technology. The palm is the shape of the palm, the surface of the palm, and then also the palm vein inside that we do use at the same time. So I'm just going to quickly show you guys how that works. So this is all the normal visible light facial recognition camera and visible light camera that we use for the face and for the palm. And if I switch it over to to the infrared cameras, you guys can see all of the extra points on the face that can be read. And then also if I take my palm and I put it here, I don't know how much you guys can see. I'm just going to put it here. You can see my vein here. With all of this reflection on the screen, you guys cannot see much of my veins in the hand, but we are actually penetrating the hand with the near field infrared. So a lot of people have been asking, well, how safe is it? That type of thing. It is 100% safe. It's the same radiation that you'll get from a TV remote or anything like that. So nobody has to be scared of this technology. So let's switch over to doing mask detection. So on the screen, you guys can see went into system, detection management, and these are the new features that we added for the device itself, for the thermal detection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch on the mask detection first. And when I switch on the mask detection, you can see there is a few other options opening as well. I can deny people without the mask, so the access on the access level, the turnstile will not open, the door will not open if you don't have your mask on, that type of thing. You can also put this device in a unattended mode, that's what I call it. It says here, allow unregistered people access. So what this means is I can allow people access like visitors, walk-in clients, anything into a building and let them get access if they've got their mask on and the temperature is correct. So you can do that as well. You can also have a trigger for external alarm. So if you want to put a bigger alarm on here or a strobe light or something to warn people that if somebody is not wearing a mask or if they are above temperature level. So now I've switched on the mask detection. I can say without mask, deny myself. Let's have a look what it does. So you guys can see immediately at the bottom, it says without mask, so it's detecting I do not have a mask on. It also says here failed to verify, but that's not because it didn't see me. It is not giving me access to the access level. So it immediately will just deny me access there. So you can also hear that it is a quite audible alarm that it does give. So a lot of sites want to put on the extra alarms and everything, but I think this level of alarm is already enough for most of the entrances and the companies out there. Let me quickly put on my mask. So immediately you can see it switches over to mask detected. It also gives me a successful verification at the bottom. That means it does also recognize my face. It does give me my identification. It does give the mask detection, and it does let me through the access level. So you can actually do that as well. And again, without the mask, immediately it will say without mask. The next one, let's switch on the temperature detection as well. When I switch on the temperature screening in here, you can set the high temperature alarm threshold, which means every company can decide which they think is the danger level for that site. Here in South Africa, we say 37.5 is our is the default for somebody that might have a fever high enough to worry about it, but you can set your own level there. Again, the same as the mask detection at the bottom, I can say I need to deny somebody access if they are over the temperature range. So you can switch that on as well. The temperature unit, depending on the countries, I think all of our African countries are on degrees Celsius. The setting for the temperature measurement far, close, and near that we have found that to set it up on a far reading is the best setting for this device to actually give you the user friendliness of the device itself. Can do a temperature calibration. So one point that I need to make very clear about this technology is that it must be installed in the correct environment. The environment that it needs to be installed in is a temperature regulated environment where we keep the temperature between 21 and 27 degrees Celsius. You cannot take this device and put it outside on a turnstile. You cannot put it outside in the direct sunlight. It's not going to give you a reliable reading. Something like a very strong light having effect on the specifically on the sensor here at the top, on the temperature monitoring sensor, you will have a problem. So there is specific guidelines to where this needs to be installed to give you the best reading. Let's have a look what it does now. I've switched on the temperature detection module. So if I look at the device now, you can see it gives me my temperature reading, normal temperature, but it still picks me up without the mask. If I put on my mask, temperature is normal, mask detected, recognizes my face, and gives me access to the building or to the access control module. So it is actually a very fast reading. I know there's a lot of word in the industry that our reading is not very fast, but here it's live. You guys can see how fast this is. So another way now is, let's say it didn't pick up my face. Obviously, we have added the palm recognition. So let's see what happens if I do that.
Successfully verified. Please measure your temperature. Please adjust your position for temperature. Normal temperature.
So at the bottom, you can see verify by palm. So that is how we also can do the verification via palm on this device. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly switch the sharing here to the biosecurity software. Okay. You guys can verify that you can see the biosecurity screen of a lobby?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So here's this is the dashboard. If you're opening the biosecurity for the first time, this is the dashboard that you get in biosecurity, obviously giving you the latest clockings here on the right-hand side. You've got your normal analytics and everything. Because we haven't clocked so much this morning, there's almost no analytics. You can also see we have added some of the event exceptions, like without mask, access denied, that type of thing. High body temperature, we've also added to the normal clockings of the device itself. So the software itself has got all the analytics, everything built in. What we've added to ZK Biosecurity, the new version, is a temperature detection module. If I click on there, it actually gives me a total different dashboard. As you can see, it's a very user-friendly dashboard. It gives me the area if somebody has got a high body temperature. It gives me at the bottom if somebody doesn't have a mask, and it also gives me the normal records here on the side if that person has adhered to all of the settings that we have set for that specific site. So this is a live reading. So if I'm going to look at the device now, obviously I do not have a mask on. As you guys can see here, here's the clocking coming in. I do not have a mask, but my temperature was fine. Immediately tells the person that's actually sitting here. So you can have a specific person actually monitoring all of your devices. If you've got one device on site, if you've got 10 devices on site, it does not matter. You've got the software up and running. One person can monitor all the different devices and will be able to show you who's the person that is not adhering to rules, or all the people that is actually having everything on. So if I've again put on my mask, look at the device. So normal temperature, I know I've got my mask on. So that is a normal record that comes through now. Also built into the thermal detection module is the statistics panel. Unfortunately, because I'm only one person clocking, you guys cannot see a full range here, but you get your normal temperature, your abnormal temperature, and then also your unmeasured people on this side. If you do have a lot more people, this statistic will change actually quite fast. And this is the temperature raw record. This is the report that everybody's looking for. Here it gives you the event time, the area that the person was in, specific device with the event point there, the personnel ID, which I was one on the system, name, surname, department, plus we've get here, yes, I did have a mask on for that specific transaction. My temperature was correct. It is a normal status, and then also it does give me the snapshot as well. What this means is I can obviously use this here in South Africa. We have to, I do not know exactly the same in Nigeria. Here we have to give a report into for the government to say we have screened all of our employees coming in the morning and during the day as they go in and out the doors. We can just export. Here's the export button. We can say we want to export it to Excel, and then we can upload it to our government website that we need to show. So a full log of everybody coming in and out. I did also mention previously that obviously unregistered people can be screened as well. So I can go here to the type of person. I did have some unregistered clockings before. So here you can see, yes, unregistered clocking. So that means this is when I was on the system, but not loaded on the device itself. So I might be a visitor coming on site, anything like that, but the system does not recognize me. So it still gives me the full reading of body temperature. It does give me the reading if there was a mask or not a mask. So, and then obviously at the end of the day, it will also bring up the verification photo. In this instance, the verification photo did not come through because I did not switch on the device to give me the verification there. I can see if we have maybe one here somewhere. Because what needs to happen is in the settings of the device where you set up the mask detection, you actually have there at the bottom to say capture unregistered people. So it will also take snapshots of those people and also then list them here. So if there is any queries of this is the person, then you can go back to the snapshot as well. The next setting here, or the next report here that you can see, is the personnel temperature schedule. So we are on the 6th today. Let's just see. Let's see if it will. So here's my clockings for today. These are all the clockings of when I had the temperature detection on and the temperature detection off. So this is all of my temperatures for this day, my name, and it recognized me. So the status is normal. It can be that the person during the day obviously gets a fever. So then this status here at the back will change to abnormal. And then everybody that was not measured will have an unmeasured here. Abnormal temperature records, this is where everything goes in. Abnormal temperature record means I can set up the software at a specific parameter, which is here at the bottom, to say I want to have all of the clockings that come in and they are above 37.5. So that the parameters of the software and the hardware is two different things. If I want people to be denied access at the level of 37.5, but I only want the software to report back to me if somebody is above 38 or something, we have split both of these, hardware and software, so you have a bit more flexibility at the end of the day. And then the last report here that it gives you is the departmental body temperature. So per department, it will give you then all of the employees under that department and also give you a overall percentage of the people that has above the normal temperature and below. So you can also export these as well. The last one on the software side that I want to show you guys. So that was the temperature detection module that was added extra onto biosecurity. But we've also bring it back to the normal access control as well. So if I go here in the access control, as everybody can remember, in biosecurity, we do have a linkage function. Now the linkage function is, if something happens, what are you going to do, or what do you want to happen? So linkage is, if somebody's body's temperature is high, do you want to switch another relay that will show a light somewhere else that is switching a relay on a different controller or a different device, or do you want a different email or something to go out? So I'm just going to quickly show you guys here how to set up this linkage and how it will filter into the system. So I've got the point where it's going to happen here on which device I want to set it up. So the device, and then the linkage trigger condition. So what is the condition that you want something to happen on? So here we've added the two at the bottom is high body temperature, access denied, and then also without mask, access denied. So I can tick both of them and say, okay. they want to ask me which input point, I can say any input point or just a specific device. And then also, what is the output? Do I want the relay to go? We also do have the function of the emails to be sent. So if somebody has got the high temperature or without mask, it can send out the email. You can set up the email in here. As soon as somebody clocks with a high temperature or without a mask, a specific person can receive all of these emails and be alerted at the end of the day. So that is it from the demo side. I'll be back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hendrik. Just to quickly do a recap of, because I was taking notes when you were making your presentation, right?
Sure.
A quick recap. The first is the XD is the upgraded version of Profix, right? So meaning if we have customers with existing Profix, is it possible? I mean, is it possible for it to be upgraded to the XD instead of asking them to change?
Not at all, no. Unfortunately, the Profix XTD is a separate model that needs to be ordered with the thermal detection module inside. It's not an add-on at the top. It might look like an add-on, and it might seem like you can just plug in the cable, but it's not possible to just upgrade the device, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. So part of the functionality, like you mentioned, is that it combines facial, palm, mask detection, and temperature measurement.
Yes.
So what I would like to also share with us, okay, because we have quite a number of our partners, and they also would want to know the different areas of application, right? If I'm using it, an airport environment, how does it work? For instance, you said that the temperature shouldn't be more than 21 degrees centigrade, for us to get an effective result, particularly on the temperature side. So can you give examples of, the different ways this particular product can be put to use?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, the only recognition that we, or the only points that we are harping on is it can actually be used in any industry, but it just needs to have a clinical environment. So airport normally is kept at the same temperature or plus minus kept at the same temperature, specifically also not even for the COVID, but also previously it also subdues some bacteria, that type of thing. So you will always feel that the airport is a bit colder, but the temperature is being stable. So the level of the temperature that it can keep on. So we do have some leniency between, let's say 20 degrees to 30 degrees will still be fine. It should not fluctuate too much during the day between that. Otherwise then, so your normal airports, you do have your normal receptions for the buildings and everything, as long as the reception has got temperature regulation built in, then the reception will be fine. Your normal office environments is fine. You can also have it at mines and everything. What is happening here in South Africa that we're seeing, some of the mines have started equipping the normal freight containers, where they actually put these devices in. They actually fit out the container with an aircon that stays on the same temperature the whole day. 1 or 2 people can go in at a time, be screened, and they walk out the other side. So depending on what type of measures the company can take, or the industry can take, it can actually be installed or be used by any industry, as long as the installation is done to our specifications. It also, I just need to reiterate, this is not only our devices. This is an overall technology problem or limitation that we have on temperature detection. It is not only the ZKTeco devices, it's all of them other manufacturers has exactly the same limitations as what we have.
Okay. All right. I think that, of course, makes sense. If you're talking about temperature detection and you have the device in the sun,
Yes.
direct exposure to the sun, you can't get a result that is expected.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah. So one advantage of the biosecurity, like you mentioned, is the fact that you can have multiple devices, right? You have the Profix XTD installed on multiple doors. with the biosecurity, you actually can see all your reports in one view. The temperature, those that had mask on, you know, those that the different faces that are recognized, everything syncs together. So biosecurity has that advantage. So God's will would start taking, opening up for some people to ask their questions directly. I have some hands raised already. You know, God's will, do you want to start with Mr. Elias?
Okay. Mr. Elias.
Mr. Elias, unmute yourself to ask your question.
Mr. Elias, you have to unmute yourself to, okay.
Yes.
You have the floor,
Okay.
Mr. Elias.
Okay. Now, how effective has this product been since the COVID-19 was discovered? I know it's a new product, but how effective has it been in terms of application?
I can obviously speak from South Africa's side. We have at this stage there's about 300 devices that has been put into the field at this stage. Obviously various industries again, like I said, but mostly at schools here in South Africa that it has been deployed, and then also corporate buildings where some of the people went back to work. So effectiveness also, again, it comes back to where it was installed. We did get feedback from all of the partners that has installed it in the correct industries or environments, that it is very effective. Obviously, the one thing that we need to stress is this is a temperature indication. At the end of the day, it also depends on the regulations and everything for that specific company as well afterwards to do what is necessary if a person is indicated to have a high temperature from ours. So we're not a medical device or anything like that, but from the feedback in the market, from the 300 devices that we have got out in South Africa, the effectiveness is quite good because it also gives you a very good tool to globally have an overlook of what is happening at your company or school.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Tolu, you had your hand up a while ago. Do you still want to ask your question, or has your question been answered? Tolu, can you unmute yourself? Okay. Gospel, can you unmute Mrs. Shoremi Ganiat?
Hello.
Hello,
Good morning, everyone. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, ma.
My question goes to Mr. Hendrik.
Yes.
And there are two questions. The first one is about this device. Is it something that is rooted in just one place? What I mean by that is that if an organization has other branches or annex, does it mean that it can only be used in one place? Then you have to get another one for another branch or other branches. Then the second question is about the maintenance. What does the device come with maintenance points, things that can be used to maintain it such that it will be able to last longer?
Yes.
Then probably attached to that one is the fact that probably the period within which it can stay efficient, so that you'll be sure that it is still proactive. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you for those questions. Yes, the first question is coming down to obviously the full solution of the whole range, including the software and the hardware. You can, because the biosecurity is, you can do a cloud-based installation of the biosecurity, which then can talk to different devices all over the world. The devices works on a push technology, so the device initiates the communication to the software. So you can put the device here in South Africa, you can put one in Nigeria, you can put one in Egypt, you can put one in China, Australia, everything that's talking directly to one software that is based in the cloud. So if you've got a company with different sites, yes, you can connect more than one device to the software, and you'll get exactly the same feedback as what you guys saw in the demo. The reporting, everything will come centrally. It's a centrally based, all-in-one web-based product, so you can do that. The second question there was about the maintenance of the device itself. This device, unlike the previous version of ProFace X, the normal version of ProFace X is an IP68 rated device, and it's a bit rugged. This device, or this model, the thermal detection module, is obviously something that needs to be installed indoors. Specifically, after we've added the thermal detection module, it does lose its IP rating, so you cannot have this in the rain, you cannot have it outside. All of that is falling away. So the normal maintenance on these devices is just a normal cleaning. Obviously not of alcohol-based products, because sometimes we do have problems with electronics having totally alcohol-based. So normally what we say the guys can use is something like a window lean, which they use on the windows and everything. This is predominantly a glass front that and a touch screen that we're talking about. So that type of, not a very wet, just a damp cloth, you can wipe the device and it will have no problems. Other than that, there is really no other maintenance that needs to happen on the device itself. The device is standalone and it will just keep on running as long as it's got network, as long as it's got power. There is no other maintenance that needs to be given.
All right, thank you, sir. Goswell, on mic, Oluremi Olutima.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Hendrik.
How can we help you today?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good morning. Your presentation, thanks for your presentation. It was well articulated and well spread. But I have some questions which I mean some clarity about these prophets.
No problem.
One, I want to see, the first is the integrations.
Yes.
For instance, now there's a multi-bio 800H, which I find that it's during the evening, I mean, a damp situation, and the facial recognition is very active. But when there's too much sunlight and everything, it's very difficult. You have to use your hand. That was one of the problems that I was still using that. So are we going to also encounter such problem with ProFace X? Does it work under, there's a certain condition that it works effectively, maybe, and there's some certain conditions that you have to find alternatives to it. Then the second one is that the software, the database is using, is it SQL or ASEX database? I need to know, so that by the time you want to integrate maybe multi-BIOS, or so that you can have all the devices in one software and to collect data, will it be easier for that integrations? That is what I want to find out, because in case you want to place other, maybe like few devices of ProFace to mix with the multi-BIOS, and we want everything to be synchronized using facial recognitions. We find out some are working, some are not working. Under these conditions, some are not working. How will we be able to solve this problem? That's my question.
Thank you for those questions. Coming to the first question, the multi-bio limitations that we had with the previous facial recognition, multi-bio 800 and 700 and those worked specifically with infrared only. So we didn't use the visible light cameras at all, which will give us then the limitation of if there was a bright light or sunlight or anything like that, it is obviously interfering with the infrared reading of the device itself. So how we did overcome that is obviously by adding the visible light facial recognition cameras on the device itself. So now we've got a dual reading between the visible light and the infrared reading, and we have got a much better reading that way. Built into the cameras as well, we do have the WDR function, which is the wide dynamic range, which a lot of you guys will probably recognize from the surveillance camera side. So if you do have a very bright light behind you, and the person is standing here, then normally with the normal multi-buy, the whole screen was blanked out because the infrared reading took over. But with the WDR function that is built into the new cameras, we actually do take away a lot of that very bright light in the background. And we do also take away reflections that might have had a problem. So you do not have to hold your hand over the device cameras anymore to be able to read your face. So that is what the visible light did for us as well, to combine it. Your second question there, to combine the two readers, keeping in mind that the multi-buy 800 was an infrared reader only, so that the algorithms that we're running on the multi-buy 800 readers or multi-buy 700 is a different algorithm than what we are using on the visible light facial recognition. Visible light and the multi-buy algorithms do not mix. It is not exactly the same. You will not be able to take templates from a multi-buy 800 and actually then send it to a new visible light like the ProFace X, Speedface, or anything and think it's going to work. So how we've done it is, yes, you can do that from the software side. So ZK Security, built into the ZK Security, you can have the different templates in one place. So if you do have a person, if you do go into a personnel file at this stage, you'll be able to see there's a fingerprint, there's a face template. Now the face template means that there's a multi-bio face template in there, the older ones. Then we've got your finger vein, you've got your palm reader, and then at the end of the day, we use in ZK Security it is not like the old ones where we had to send different templates to different devices. We actually send your photo to the different devices. And then how these devices work is that photo then, or the device itself, builds your template on the device. So the photos then goes out to the visible light facial recognition units, and the templates goes out to the multi-buy 700. So you can combine them on the software side, but you cannot combine the technology, sending the templates directly from the visible light recognition units to the older infrared readers.
Thank you, Mr. Olitimo. I mean, that your question, I'm sure a lot of people have will have similar question. So I want to go from you. Mr. Mensah from Ghana had his hand raised a while ago. I don't know if he still wants to ask his question, or is it that his question has been answered? Some other questions are posted to the chat. From Mr. Adedolamo, is there a limit to the number of biorecords the system can capture?
That depends on which device you use. If you're talking about biometric templates or facial recognition templates on the ProFace X, we can have a maximum of 50,000 faces on the device itself. And then if you're looking at the smaller device like the Speedface, they can do up to 10,000 depending on what environment you have.
Okay, so for the biosecurity, another question is, what is the license model for the software, one-off or renewals?
Well, at the moment, biosecurity is running as a once-off licensing that we put it into the market. It all depends on how many points. So normally we would have said how many doors, but because these are intelligent devices, they're being seen as one side of a door. So depending on how many of these devices you have to install, or the facial recognition devices, that will actually take a full license. So if you've got one door with two devices, it will take two spaces often, but the license itself is a once-off.
Goswell, I need you to unmute Mrs. Adewon. She's one of our special guests. Can you unmute her, please?
She's on now. She should unmute. Okay.
Oh, okay. Good morning, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well.
It's
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Okay, let's go on. Now, my question is, this should be okay to be used in schools, but then there are existing biometrics being used in some locations, but primarily for this COVID and future, it's about temperature and warnings. Will this need a special administrator to be solely on this system?
Sorry, you broke up just when you said your.
I
just
said
repeat
they're
that
already.
last part again.
Okay, I said this is this is for now and for future. Will this require just someone solely manning the system just for this particular purpose? And did you get it?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay, so because the person would need training, and this will be specifically for temperature guard in any location. And then I see you saying there's one for 10,000 users, and then there's another one for 50,000 users. Now, in schools, depending on the size of school, and they have multiple locations, maybe 3 arms of school, the scalability, will it work? Or do they have to buy other devices since it's one-off to have the maximum usage of what they have bought?
100%. I've got you. Okay, so the first question is the big thing is, yes, you will still need somebody to man a specific screen or be nearby. As you could hear, there's actually quite a loud alarm coming from the device. So the biggest thing that we've seen is that now the amount of people that need to man this, because normally if it's somebody with a handheld thermometer, there must be somebody at each thermometer. Whereby if you've got multiple of these devices or the thermal detection devices, you only need one person in between, let's say 5 or 10 or whatever devices that is in that specific area. So your resource is much lower with this type of device. And then also the other thing that I want to reiterate as well is these devices can be used by the school afterwards. It can be used for time attendance, it can be used for access control, it can be used after this pandemic is gone. It is not like a thermal detection camera or anything where it's only being used to run the to see if somebody's got a fever or not. So these devices can be used afterwards. When it comes to the size of the devices, yes, the SpeedFace TD and the ProFace TD is 2 different devices. Which we've seen in South Africa is because also the schools is not that big. There is not 50,000 kids in one school. So you don't have to you don't have to always use the bigger device. You can use the SpeedFace, which is most popular in South Africa for the schools, is actually the SpeedFace devices or the SpeedFace TD for the thermal detection. And then also, yes, we've seen there's a lot of private schools here in South Africa whereby they wanted to run the software centrally because they have to give all of the reports from head office. And you've got all of these thermal detection devices all over the different schools or the different districts and everything. And all of this information goes to one central point and they can give one global report over all of the schools. So that is where the power of ZK Biosecurity comes in, because it's not only multiple devices that can speak to one cloud system, it's actually multiple users can log into the same system at the same time. So the different schools can also have this screen that you guys have seen I demoed on. They can have that screen open locally at the school, but it is actually the cloud server that they are looking at. So the different schools can have just by using any internet browser, you can open the IP address of the server itself, you can log in and you can see all of the information. So yes, you can have a central system running all over.
Okay, all right, thank you. There's a question from Mercury Technologies. What is the cost of the license since it is one-off? You should get in touch with Jubril on that. Jubril, get in touch, to give details of the cost of the license. Isn't it better to bundle the one-off license with the product? Again, because the biosecurity works with different products, so the license for the biosecurity is different from the device. That's why it can be bundled. Mr. Adedolamu asks that, can the database be purged or archived in order to create space for new data into a device with full capacity?
The device and the database itself, yes, you can purge the device, obviously, if you've got too many people on there. You can put it in the unattended mode as well if you need to. like I showed, the person does not have to be registered on the device. So what happens at the end of the day, if we're taking too many snapshots, it will start deleting the oldest one. So there is a cyclic deletion in the device as well. When it comes to the software side, that has got no limit. The only limit that the software has got with transactions and users on is the limit of the server itself. So the size of the hard drive or something that the server is using. But on the device, you can delete if you need to. Yes.
Okay. All right. Goswell, can you unmute Mr. Oluremi? I think that's the last question. I think he has a follow-up question. Unmute him quickly. He has his hand raised.
Hello, everybody. Mr. Hendrik.
Yes, sir. Morning.
Yeah, my question is this. How easy or easier it is to integrate this process with Tunstein?
Sorry, integrated with?
Yes, fixing it, integrate with the Tunstein. Yeah, so that when maybe the student or whatever wants to come in, because there's a Tunstein installed, so yes, from a distance, you can read them and then give them access without them touching the machines forever. How easier it is, or is a standalone device? Can it be installed with the Tunstein?
Yes, you can install it directly onto the turnstile. The device itself does come with the normal access control relays at the back of or inside the device itself. Let me quickly get one of my other. Oh. So I'm just going to show you guys here at the back. This is now a normal Prophase X. So the normal Prophase X, and then you do have the normal bundle of wires at the back for the TCP/IP.
And the Wigan too? The Wigan.
You've got the Vigant, you've got Vigant output and inputs.
Okay.
You do also have two different relays for the output itself. Sorry, I'm just holding it like this just to show you guys it's exactly the same as any other access control device. So you've got your Vigant inputs and outputs. You've got your access control output relay. So for a striker lock, normal mag lock for a door. You can connect it to any flat bagger. You can connect it to any turnstile. You can connect it to any swing gate or anything, speed style. It's just a normal switch at the back. And then also, like I said, there is also your extra add-on that you can have the alarm output as well. So it can actually deny somebody access, and you can have a red light going up and saying there's something wrong here. Somebody needs to give action.
So it can control. Okay, so it can control the opening and closing of the turnstile.
Definitely, very, very easy.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. And one more question from Kazim. Kazim is asking the difference between BioTime 3.0 and BioTime 8.0, and that is biosecurity a modification to these two softwares?
Sure. BioTime 8 and the BioTime softwares itself and biosecurity is two different softwares. So the ZK biosecurity platform is specifically our security platform that includes the access control, and then it's also modular where you can have your visitor management, you can have your parking, all of those modules inside. The BioTime software we are predominantly using for time attendance purposes. So we have split the market in two, where we've got, if specifically what you need first is access control, we normally will sell the biosecurity. Inside biosecurity, you do still have your time attendance module that you can activate if you do need that. But if the site or the solution that we need to build comes that the main purpose for that is time attendance, then we will use the BioTime software first for that purpose.
Okay. Then he has a follow-up question. Can the device be used to manage visitors, knowing fully well that biosecurity has VMS module?
At the moment, yes. You can also, the normal VMS module inside biosecurity will still act normally as what it has been designed for. The only extra features that comes now with this is when the visitor does come in, his temperature and his mask detection will be done. So the normal visitor management, yes, will work as normal. You just have the extra features.
Okay. There's a follow-up question, but I think Goswell has that covered. They want access to the recording of this session. So God's will, please let's share the link with all attendees and some of our colleagues that missed the whole session. Thank you so much, Mr. Hendrik. Getting your attention Saturday morning. I know out of this was for you, but thank you for the sacrifice, and every time we call out for your support, you are always there for us. Particularly because you understand that ZK West Africa is a product of South Africa. So as our big brother, giving us that support is something we really appreciate, and we always would reach out to you when we need more assistance. I just have a very quick announcement for our colleagues. I want to inform particularly our partners that the all-in-one tunnel is available in Lagos now. It's going to be available for test and demonstration on Monday. So for some of our partners that already paid for their tunnel, your tunnels are available now. It's available for pickup. For customers that still want to see how it works, you also should come over to SB Telecom's office, which is where we are operating for now, to come and see the operation of the all-in-one tunnel. I also want to inform you that by the 1st of July, ZKTeco office for West Africa will be open, 64 Adetokunbo Ademola. All the products that you know ZKTeco for will be available on display. You can interact with them. The experience center will be live. All products that you want to introduce to your customers. You also can bring your customers in for demonstration to see the different functionality of our solution. Thank you all for your time. I think all questions have been answered. I have a very quick follow-up question. Mr. Felix is asking, please, I want to ask if there are provision for training from ZKTeco to interested individual. Yes, as a matter of fact, training is going to be part of, we have a dedicated training center in our office at 64 Adetokunbo Ademola. The COVID situation is one of the reasons why we're trying to have more of webinars. For now, there's going to be a regular practical session. We have a course that is called ZKTeco Technical Partners. It's a dedicated course to take you through all ZKTeco products line and its functionality, practical training. So that will be available. The final one is, can we visit to see the tunnel demonstration? Yes, on Monday from 12 noon. The tunnel should be available for demonstration. Thank you all for your time.